You hold the finished position, and by the time the next ball comes, you have to rush your recovery. This is why your game feels choppy. Here's one trick to fix your recovery. Alright, today we're focusing on the backswing and recovery, the start and finish of your stroke. Let's start with the forehand drive's backswing and recovery. First question, why is your shot speed so slow? Pay attention to whether my backswing is below the ball or behind the ball. My racket is behind the ball. Why do you feel your shots lack quality and aren't clean? It's because your backswing is always under the ball, so when you close your forearm, the ball naturally pops up in a high arc. That is the root of your problem. Most amateurs don't get low, they stand too tall. If you also raise your hand, you'll miss the ball completely. When your forearm drops, you'll naturally generate some topspin, even with a locked wrist. The second reason is that amateurs don't drop their shoulders are too high. For example, even if I stand tall, I can still lower my hitting arm by dropping my shoulder. I can keep my arm low and still make contact behind the ball. Amateurs stand too tall and don't drop their shoulders, so when you try to hit for speed, your forearm points downward. This will severely impact your ball speed. Some players ask, when you're doing a loop drive, doesn't your hand drop down too? Yes, for a topspin loop drive, my hand is low during the backswing, but watch closely at the moment of contact. At the point of contact, you can see my forearm is already level. I can't contact the ball with my racket face vertical like this, I would completely miss it. So, dropping your hand in the backswing is for relaxation and for storing more power. But to execute a powerful loop drive, your racket must still contact the ball from behind. The key issue is that many amateurs, for both drives and loops, hold their racket too low when trying to generate speed. For a powerful forehand drive, you must contact the ball directly behind its center. This is key for speed. Otherwise, you'll just be muscling the ball. If your backswing is too low, you'll hit it long when you apply force. If you don't use power, you'll produce a weak, high ball that feels like a graze. This is a very common problem for penhold players, who tend to flip their wrist when the ball goes long. Flipping the wrist feels relaxed, so as soon as they think the ball will go long, their stroke changes to this. They keep the racket too low and simultaneously flip the wrist. That's the problem. So, if you want to generate speed, you must make contact behind the ball. Only then can you produce proper ball speed. If you contact the ball from underneath, your trajectory will be too long when you apply power, causing it to go out. You can drop your arm in the backswing, but at contact, you must be at the ball's height and drive forward. This applies to topspin rallies. Against topspin, avoid hitting up. Always drive from back to front. At contact, your racket should be directly behind the ball, driving forward. That's the secret to increasing your speed. Second point, for the forehand drive, should I create space from the ball or stay close to it? Watch carefully. My shot has proper spacing. Am I creating space by extending my arm on the backswing? Or is it by keeping my hand in front and rotating my body to meet the ball? It's the second one, use your body. So why is your spacing off? It's because you're standing too square to the table. This means you can only hit the ball cleanly when it's fed directly to you. If the ball comes a bit deeper, you'll get jammed. If it's a bit shorter, you'll have to reach for it. Why do we emphasize spacing so much for both forehand and backhand? Because proper spacing leads to more consistency and higher shot quality. To improve your single shot quality, creating space is essential. To generate maximum force, starting with the forehand drive, you must incorporate your body. Watch the rotation. Why do I rotate? When I rotate my body to about a 45-degree angle, I clear my shoulder and, more importantly, create the ideal contact point. After creating that space, let your body lead your arm forward into the shot. This ensures you have a comfortable hitting zone for every single ball. The same principle applies to looping, it's just a slightly larger rotation and backswing. Otherwise, it's identical. I use my body rotation to establish my optimal contact point, which is not directly in front of me. It's not at my side, and it's certainly not behind me. So when I create this space, my contact point is actually in front and to the side of my body. Then, as the ball arrives, I use my body to drive my arm forward, making the motion coordinated. So when you're practicing continuous forehand attacks, focus on this coordinated body rotation. Even a small hip turn is enough, your legs don't need to move much. Watch me rally continuously. I'm standing close, but I create space and drive forward without pulling my arm way back. That's the drive. For a loop, you just stand a bit further back and make the motion bigger. Rotate to create space, then drive forward. Rotate, forward. When you integrate your whole body, your movements become fluid and smooth. Otherwise, you might hit one good shot, but the second one will be a jerky push, or you'll lose control of your arm. This is what we mean by letting your body lead the arm. I rotate to create space, then the body drives forward into the shot. Then rotate again to create space for the next one. For amateurs, you don't even need to use your legs that much. Just rotating your hips and shoulders is more than enough. You don't need to rotate like a junior player. It's unnecessary and you won't have time. As adults, our bodies are bigger and our joints react slower. Keep your lower body stable like a horse stance, and use your hips to drive the rotation of your upper body. This will feel much more coordinated. The third key point is about the forearm. What does the forehand drive backswing look like? Pivot from your elbow as you rotate your body, opening up the forearm. That's your backswing. You must fully open your forearm. Shot quality is generated by opening the forearm, driving forward, and then closing it upon contact. So what are the common forearm mistakes for amateurs? First, they pull their elbow back. Like this, watch my arm carefully. The second mistake is not opening up the forearm at all and just pushing the ball sideways from a closed position. Or they pull the elbow back and then push forward. This is the biggest problem amateurs have with separating their forearm and upper arm. In table tennis, if you don't use your forearm snap, you can't generate explosive power or control the length of your shots. How do you control the arc length? The faster I snap my forearm, the shorter the arc. The slower I close it, the longer the ball travels. The more I drive forward, the longer the arc, the tighter I snap it, the shorter the arc. In a match, you can adjust this based on the ball. You don't always need a full snap. Sometimes you can just drive forward. First, you must master the mechanics, then decide how to apply them. For a forehand drive, your forearm needs to open outward. Bring it in front, open outward. This is the textbook form for a standard forehand drive. Now for a topspin loop. As you bring the racket to the side, the backswing path is both backward and downward. But notice my center of gravity isn't very low. I'm just doing a level weight transfer as I loop. So the loop backswing is very different from the drive. The drive opens to the side. The loop opens to the side but also drops to your thigh level. You're not pulling straight back. You're dropping it to your thigh level and keeping it close to your body. That's the forehand topspin loop. You can see the backswing positions are completely different. So, during the backswing, you must consciously control its position. If you don't control it, you might generate power but you won't land a single ball on the table. For my forehand drive, using my body, I try to keep the backswing at my side, never behind my body. See? To the side. For my forehand loop, the backswing is behind me. You should never try to loop from your side. You must bring it back behind your body for the loop. The biggest problem most amateurs face right now is that their backswing is too tense when they loop. Let me show you the result of a tense backswing. You serve, and then you miss. None of the power transfers to the ball. Because if your backswing is tense, your swing will instinctively stop at contact. The result is that your shot either barely clears the net and lands short, or it goes short and high. Normally, even though I'm controlling my backswing position, you can see I'm in a very relaxed state. Relaxed, then tight. Relaxed, then tight. See the massive difference in speed that creates? For every single technique, serve, push, loop, drive, the preparation phase should be relaxed, just holding the racket without any tension. The moment your arm tenses up and your grip tightens, your shot speed will be limited. There will be no explosive power. So how do you learn to relax? Start by using only 30% of your power. For example, just a soft, 30% effort. Backswing at 30%. I'll use 30% for the backswing and 30% for the contact, no rush to add power. Just feel the motion. Okay, now backswing at 30%, contact at 50%. Relaxed, then snap. Once you get that feeling, you can move up to a 30% backswing and 70% contact. Look, relaxed, snap. Relaxed, snap. This is the feeling you're all looking for, right? So practice it using this method. Otherwise, you'll either be relaxed all the time or tense all the time, which leads to injury in your shoulder and elbow. First find that feeling of being soft and relaxed, then feel the contact point. Once you build that muscle memory, you can gradually increase the speed of your forward swing to create that rhythm. Professional players all love that feeling of being relaxed and then exploding into the ball. It's a two-step process. First, practice relaxation and smoothness. Then, practice acceleration and force. Find the relaxed feeling before trying to generate forward power. That covers the backswing. Now let's talk about the recovery. For your forehand recovery, do you recover back to the ready position? Like a simple 1-2, 1-2 motion? Or do you make a little loop with your arm to recover? As for which one is right or wrong, there is no right or wrong. If you like to make a loop, keep doing it. If you don't, just ensure your recovery is relaxed. The looping recovery is just a way to relax. Hit the ball hard, then loop the arm around to relax before the next backswing. That's the basic idea. For those of us who don't make a loop, it looks like this. After the shot, a relaxed recovery back to the ready position. Shot, relaxed recovery. It doesn't matter what you do, just stick with your own habit. However, the biggest problem for players who use the looping recovery is that sometimes you start the loop too early. Why does it happen too early? When looping a backspin ball, the trajectory needs time to go up, but you start bringing the arm down before the ball has even peaked. The looping recovery itself is fine, but it must happen after you've fully completed your stroke. It's a sign of a relaxed recovery. You must finish the stroke, then begin the relaxed recovery. You can't start bringing your arm down while you're still trying to lift the ball. If you use a loop recovery, pay attention to this. Finish the shot, then make the loop. Don't start looping your arm down before the stroke is even finished. Second, for players who use a direct recovery, make sure you're not tensing up on the way back. It must be a relaxed recovery, achieved by dropping your shoulder and letting the forearm relax naturally. Another common issue is that most players pause for too long at the end of their stroke. This is why your game feels choppy. You hold the finish position, and by the time the next ball comes, you have to rush your recovery. This makes your movements always feel stuck and uncoordinated. Here's one trick to fix your recovery. When you're doing fixed point drills, stop watching the ball to time your recovery. Save that for random drills. In the beginning, focus on making your movements fluid. What does that mean? It means you start recovering immediately after contact. Don't wait to see the ball. This applies to both forehand and backhand. In fixed point drills, don't watch the ball to recover. Hit and return immediately. First, get your motion fluid. People say you should watch the ball to recover, but that applies to match situations. In regular drills, including looping, why do you get jammed on the second or third ball? It's because you're not recovering immediately. It should be loop and recover, loop and recover. Make a conscious effort to recover after every shot. This builds the habit of recovery and ensures you're prepared for the next ball. This is a fixed point drill, don't confuse it with a real match. You can worry about other things when you compete. Later, in a match rally, you will need to watch the ball. Once your basic motion is fluid, it becomes easy. In a rally, it's 1-2, 1-2. See how smooth that is? Once you've made your direct recovery fluid, transitioning to forehand is just a simple movement across the top. Transition directly across and back. If the ball is in the same spot, just use your smooth recovery. To handle the forehand, you only need to practice the transition. Otherwise, your match play will look like this: you hit, then pause. There's a delay, and you can't hit more than 3 shots in a row smoothly. Third major point, recovery must always involve your body. Otherwise, your shots will be stiff. On my forehand, you can see my body moves slightly with the recovery. Otherwise, you'll be all arm, using tension, and making errors. Wherever your arm goes, your body follows. It's a simple concept. Also, during your forehand and backhand recovery, your shoulders should not move up and down. For instance, your shoulders are level when you hit, so why are you shrugging them up during the recovery? Your shoulders should always stay down. It's your upper and lower arm that moves up, then comes down for the recovery, then up again for the next shot. Your shoulders must be stable, they should only rotate forward and back, never up and down. That will make you unstable. The same goes for the backhand. It's your forearm and upper arm that come up, the shoulder stays level. Keep your shoulders relaxed. They just rotate. The arc is mainly created by your arm. So for any shot, we have a saying: stay compact. Stay compact on your forehand, stay compact on your backhand, and stay compact in the middle. High balls, low balls, always maintain your body's core structure. But amateurs often fall apart, their arms fly everywhere, and they can't hit the next shot continuously. The key is that you must stay compact to generate the maximum power from your body.